Introductions is back again with a new video, and today we are going to cover NCRT class 6 chapter number 7, that is Ashoka, the emperor who gave up war. So who was Ashoka? So Ashoka was a grandson of a Chandragupta Maurya, and Chandragupta Maurya was the ruler who first laid down the Mauryan Empire about 2300 years ago. Ashoka is considered to be the greatest rulers of the history, and we will come to know why he is considered to be the greatest and unique of all the rulers. Okay, Ashoka was supported by a very wise man named as Kautilya and also known as Chanakya. Chanakya wrote down all his ideas in Arthashastra. Okay, so in the Mauryan Empire, there were several cities, and one of there was a capital city called as Patliputra. Okay, and there were cities uh, such as Ujjain, Takshila, Patliputra. So here we can see in the map. Here is Takshila. Okay, and Takshila is a gateway from the north to northwest and also to the central. And then here is Ujjain. Ujjain is a route from north to south. Okay, so Ujjain actually laid on the route from north to south India, as I have just said. And here we can see is Patliputra, which was the capital city of Mauryan Empire. And there were merchants, officials, and craft persons who lived in these cities. And there were villages also. In villages farmers and herders live. Can you think that why the merchants, officials, and craft persons are living in the cities? Because we know that trade used to happen and merchants have to be there. Officials were being appointed by the rulers, so they have to be there in the cities, and craft person was there to build and bring up with new crafts in the city. Okay, and farmers and herders lived in the village. And in central India, if we could see, there were forests. So people collected forest produce and they also hunted animals for food. Okay. And since in an empire there were different parts and each different part were different from one another, they spoke different languages, they ate different kind of a food, their clothing systems were also very different from one another. So there was diversity in empire. Just like today in India, we see how diverse we are. Okay. So we often come across a word called dynasty. So what is dynasty and what is kingdom and what is empire? How they are all different from one another. So dynasty is basically something when a member of the same family became the ruler one after the another. Just like we saw that Chandragupta Maurya led the foundation of Mauryan Empire. Then his son came Bimbisar, and then later his son came Ashoka. So there is a continuity in the in the rulers. Okay, so this is called the dynasty. That is why we say Mauryan dynasty, or Mauryan Empire as well. All right. So here in this map, as we just saw there, these are the cities called Takshila, Ujjain, Patliputra, and all these red dots are the inscriptions which Ashoka, uh, you know, inscribed and actually suggested its officials and the scribes to write the inscriptions on. So these were the places of inscriptions of Ashoka that were have been found. Okay, moving ahead. So how are empires different from kingdoms? So you need to understand that empire is something that is huge in comparison to the kingdom. Okay. And since it is huge, it needs more resources. And uh, and also it is needed to be protected by the enemies, and also it needs to collect taxes. In the previous chapters also we have seen that how Magad kingdom, that was the a Mahajanpas, uh, there the rajas used to collect taxes. Okay, because their empire was very huge, and also they how they fortified, and fortification used to happen, and fortification happened because of two reasons. One, because obviously they want to protect the people. Two, because they want to showcase how strong of a ruler they are and how rich they are. And also people, when they are confined, they can be controlled easily. Okay, I hope you understood the difference between the empires and the kingdom. Moving ahead. So there were different parts, and different parts were ruled differently. Okay, For example, the area around Patliputra was under the direct control of the emperor because it was the capital city. However, there were provincial capitals such as Takshila or Ujjain, and so these were controlled by the royal prince. So royal princes were often sent as a governor over. Okay, and also we know that Mauryan dynasty, it was an empire. So obviously, an empire needs an official and they need taxes. So an official was appointed to collect the taxes from the farmers, herders, craftsperson, and traders. Okay, whoever lived in the cities or the villages, they collected tax from everybody. Okay, and those who disobeyed the ruler, they were being punished. Also, in order to keep a check on the official whether they are doing their duty properly or not, a spy was also kept to keep an eye on them. Okay, and the emperor supervised them all with the help of the members of the royal family and senior ministers were there. Okay, and Mauryas actually tried to control roads and rivers. Why roads and rivers can you think of? They want because trade used to happen and through roadways and through rivers. So they wanted to get a huge, control over this transport thing. So they collected whatever resources were available as taxes and as well as tribute. Okay, so what is that tribute? So, unlike taxes, which is imposed upon you and you have to give it, tribute is something where you give it out of your own willing. Okay, it is like you just give like a gift to the ruler, and it can be collected as and when it was possible from people. Okay, now there was actually a Greek ruler of West Asia named Seleucus Nicator. He sent one of the ambassador to India known as Megasthenes, and he came at the time of Chandragupta Maurya, and he wrote an account about the capital city and about the emperor. And he said that whenever the emperor showed up in the public or whenever he appeared in the public, his appearance was celebrated highly with the grand royal processions, and that he was carried in a golden palanquin, and there were guards who rode elephants that were decorated with gold and silver. There was also guards who carried trees on which actually birds lived, and there was a flock of trained parrots as well who used to circle around the head of the emperor. And the king was normally surrounded by armed women. So he was actually, the emperor, according to him, was afraid that somebody may try to kill him. Okay, there were special servants for the emperor who used to taste food. Can you think why there were special servants who used to taste food? Because uh, there was always a worry to the emperor that they might get killed by their opposed rulers. Okay, so if maybe the food is poisonous or not, that is why there was a special person who used to taste the food. And then he talked also about the Patliputra, the capital city, and he said that how beautiful city it was. It has massive walls, and it had 570 towers and 64 gates, and the houses were 2 and 3 stories. They were built out of wood and mud bricks. The king's palaces were made of wood and they were decorated with carving, and how it was surrounded with gardens and enclosures were being kept for keeping the birds. Okay, so this was the description that he gave. Now let's learn about Ashoka. How Ashoka was a very unique ruler and why we call him to be a unique ruler. So Ashoka was the very first ruler who actually tried to take his message to the people through inscriptions. Okay, he was the very first people who used who made use of inscription to preach his message or the ideas. Okay, and these inscriptions were written in Prakrit and written in Brahmi script so that even the common people can understand it. Okay, and today, the coastal Odisha that we know, in ancient time, this place was known to be as Kalinga. Okay, and Ashoka fought a war to conquer Kalinga. However, when he after the war, he won the war, but after seeing how lakhs of people died and there was all bloodshed and violence, he was completely horrified by seeing all of that. and and thereupon he realized, and he came to a conclusion that he don't want to conquer others, that in fact he want to preach his idea of dhamma. Okay. And so this he was the only king in the history of the world who gave up conquest after winning a war. Okay. So there is Ashoka's inscription where he described the Kalinga war, and he said how he was very sad after seeing all these bloodshed, and he said that he was very sad because he could see how many people were being captured, their relatives and friends died, their slaves died, they lost their loved ones. So he said that, and he decided that he is going to observe Dhamma. Okay. And he is also going to teach the same thing to the people. Okay. And he said that it is very important, rather than winning and conquering the land of people through force, we win people through Dhamma. Okay. And that is why he inscribed and he promoted his message through inscriptions. Okay. So Dhamma is the Prakrit word for the Sanskrit term Dharma. Okay. So what was Ashoka's Dhamma? So Ashoka's Dhamma, it was not that you have to worship this kind of a god and you have to perform this kind of a ritual and you have to do this sacrifice. No, it was a kind of an instruction to his subjects, and he was very much inspired by the teachings of Buddha, and he wanted to solve many problems in the society. So there were many problems, as I have just told that. And in an empire, there were different parts, and people were different from one another in terms of their clothing and what kind of food they ate, and kind of a language they spoke. There were different religions. Sometimes people met with conflict because of that, and animals were being sacrificed back then, because we know during that time the Varna structure was created in the society, and how the rajas used to conduct Ashwamedh Yagya. Okay. So these were the problems that he saw, and also he saw that slaves and servants, how they were very ill treated, because obviously the Varna structure was created by the priests, and the Shudras were considered to be the lowest of them all, and they used to serve all the three other Varna structure. So, and there were people who used to quarrel amongst their family members. There were quarrels with the neighborhood. So he wanted to solve all of it. Okay. So he actually appointed an official known as Dhamma Mahavakta. Okay. And this official moved from place to place, and he taught people about Dhamma. And his messages were being inscribed on rocks and pillars. And Ashoka also instructed his officials that there are people in our society who cannot read. So you have to read for them. Okay. And you have to spread this message to everybody. He even sent messenger to spread the ideas about Dhamma to other lands such as Syria, Egypt, Greece, and Sri Lanka. He did a lot for his people, for his subjects. He built roads, he dug wells, he built rest houses, because we know that there were people from Jain religion and Buddhist religion who used to move from one place to another to spread the teachings and to spread the religions. There was bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, okay, and they wanted shelter, temporary shelters. So he even built rest houses. He arranged medical treatment not only for human beings but also animals. All right, moving ahead. So, what was his message to his subjects? He said that whenever you have a child or you have a marriage in your home, or whenever you are falling ill, you perform ritual. He is saying that there is no uh, fruitful thing that you are going to get out of it. Okay, out of performing all these practices. He said instead you should be gentle and kind with the slaves and servants. You should respect your elders. You should treat all creatures with compassion. You should give gifts to Brahmins, and he said that it is both wrong to praise one's own religion and criticize another's. And he said that it is very important that one should respect the other's religion. And he said, if you are praising your religion and you are criticizing the religion of the other, you are doing greater harm to your own religion. Okay. And he said that we need to understand that all you have to take the main idea from every religion, okay, and you have to understand it and respect it, okay. And our after independence, our very first prime minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, he also said that even today the edicts and the instructions of Ashoka are very relevant to us, and they were written in a language that we can still understand and every common man can understand, okay. So can you tell me how Ashoka's message is still relevant in today's society? Okay, so just let me know in the comment section below. And here is a Brahmi script. And most modern Indian scripts have developed from this Brahmi script over hundreds of years. And here is a written in different scripts. In early Brahmin, in Devanagari, in Bengali, in Malayalam, in Tamil. Okay, all right, moving on. So let's look at what is happening in different parts of the world around this time. So Mauryan Empire came into existence around 2300 years. And sometimes before, around 2400 years ago, there was an emperor in China who built a Great Wall. And we all know about Great Wall. Why is it called a Great Wall? Because this wall is 6400 kilometer long. Okay. And this wall was made over a period of 2000 years, okay. And why this wall was built? This wall was actually built to protect the northern frontier of the empire from pastoral people, okay. And there are watchtowers all along a distance of about 100 to 200 feet. So there is a question: in what ways do you think Ashoka's attitude towards neighboring people was different from that of Chinese empire? So you can see in China what is happening. Their own emperor is trying to protect one part of the people from from the people of the same country. Okay, and he is building this wall. So he's creating a kind of a difference. Okay, amongst people. However, on the other hand, if you see, Ashoka is trying to teach the message of Dhamma, where he's trying to resolve people's conflict, and he's saying that you must understand each other, you must not quarrel with each other, you should treat everybody with compassion, you should look at each other with humility and kindness and with equality. So this is the major difference. If you can see how Ashoka was different as a ruler than the Chinese rule. Okay, moving ahead. So Mauryan Empire actually collapsed about 2200 years ago. And then major kingdoms came up like the Shakas came up, then the Guptas came up, then the Kushanas were there. Okay, Shung Empire they came up. Okay, so here are the coins of different kingdoms, like the Indo-Greek coin is here, Kushana's coin is over here. Okay, and in the southern India, there other rulers came up like Cholas, Cheras, and Pandyas, and they ruled between 2200 and 1850. And there were other kingdoms and kings as well. And we know actually about them through their coins and inscriptions, and also from books. So there, here is a Shaka coin, here is a Satvahana king. Okay, so lots of changes were taking place, and in which ordinary men and women played a very, very major, like what changes took place. Spread of agriculture took place, the growth of new towns happened, craft production took place, trade used to happen, traders explored land within subcontinent and even outside and sea routes to West Asia, okay. And the stupas were being built. We will be reading about architecture in the later chapters, okay. And all these developments were taking place simultaneously, that is at the same time, okay. So keep remembering all of this and try to connect the dots with one another, and don't forget anything. And lastly, thanks for watching. If you like the video, please hit the like button, share it, and subscribe. Thank you so much.